What if the most common fitness advice given to older adults is the very reason so many lose their independence? For more than 50 years, one message dominated aging and fitness. Walk more. Count your steps. Stay active and everything will be fine. It sounded logical. It felt safe. And for a long time, no one questioned it. But aging doesn't fail evenly. After 60, the biggest threat isn't getting tired, it's getting weak. Strength loss doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly. First, you push off the armrest to stand. Then stairs feel steeper. Then balance feels uncertain. Eventually, people say, this is just aging. But it isn't. It's undertrained muscle. Modern research has exposed a gap between movement and strength. Walking keeps the heart busy, but it barely challenges the muscles responsible for standing, stabilizing, and catching the body during a stumble. The body adapts downward. It always does. In clinical settings, doctors began noticing something strange. Patients who trained while seated, before surgery, before therapy, before walking, often recovered faster. They weren't fitter in the traditional sense. They were stronger where it mattered. That a growing body of evidence now supports what orthopedic specialists quietly observed for decades: targeted resistance movements outperform walking when it comes to preserving independence. This series is not about replacing walking. It's about correcting a mistake. Walking is not the foundation after 60. Strength is. Over the next 9 parts, you'll see how simple chair-based movements rebuild the systems aging steals first: leg power, balance control, posture support, and bone stimulation. No gym. No floor work. No intimidation. And by the end, you'll understand why one ordinary movement, something you already do every day, is now considered one of the strongest predictors of longevity. We expose exactly why walking fails to stop muscle loss, and why the body needs a very different signal after 60. Walking keeps you moving, but it doesn't tell your muscles to stay alive. Muscle follows demand. If a muscle isn't challenged, the body considers it unnecessary. This rule becomes ruthless with age. After 60, muscle loss accelerates, especially in the legs, hips, and back. These muscles don't disappear because people stop moving, they disappear because they stop resisting. Flat ground walking is repetitive and low load. The body learns to conserve effort. Over time, muscles shrink while joints take over the work. This is why endurance can coexist with weakness. Rehabilitation science uncovered something critical: muscles respond better to slow, controlled resistance than to endless repetition. Even seated movements can send a powerful survival signal to aging muscle. That's why therapists often begin in chairs. Sitting removes fear, reduces joint stress, and allows precision. The muscle finally receives a clear message: you are still needed. This isn't about intensity. It's about intention. Strength-first training restores confidence. Once muscles wake up, walking becomes safer, smoother, and more stable. The next 5 exercises follow this logic exactly. Each targets a weakness walking ignores. We begin at the very bottom, where balance, circulation, and stability all start. Reveals why a small movement at the ankle can dramatically change how your legs feel and function. Weak calves don't just affect walking, they affect circulation, balance, and fatigue. The calf muscles act like a secondary heart. Every contraction pushes blood upward against gravity. When they weaken, blood pools, ankles swell, and balance becomes unstable. Walking activates calves only briefly. Seated calf raises isolate them completely. This focused activation improves ankle control, leg comfort, and endurance. It's one of the fastest responding muscles in the aging body. Done slowly and daily, this exercise rebuilds a foundation most people never train. Next, we move to the muscle that decides whether standing up feels easy or exhausting. The moment standing up becomes hard is the moment independence quietly starts slipping away. Most people don't notice thigh weakness when it begins. It doesn't announce itself with pain. It shows up subtly. You lean forward a little more to stand. You push off the armrest without thinking. Stairs feel manageable, but only if you go slow. These are not habits. They are compensation. The quadriceps, the large muscles on the front of your thighs, are responsible for one of the most important actions in daily life, straightening the knee. Every time you stand from a chair, climb stairs, or lower yourself onto a seat, these muscles are doing the heavy lifting. When they weaken, the entire body feels heavier. Here's the problem. Walking barely challenges the quadriceps. On flat ground, these muscles activate only lightly, just enough to swing the leg forward. There is no meaningful resistance. Over time, the body adapts by letting these muscles shrink. This is why many people who walk daily still struggle with chairs, toilets, and stairs. Seated knee extensions directly reverse this process. Instead of relying on momentum or other muscles to help, this movement forces the quadriceps to lift the full weight of the lower leg against gravity. That resistance sends a powerful signal to the muscle: stay strong, stay useful. To perform this exercise correctly, sit tall in a sturdy chair with your back supported. Place your feet flat on the floor and grip the sides of the seat for stability. Slowly straighten one leg until your knee is fully extended and your foot is off the ground. At the top, pause and actively squeeze the muscle on the front of your thigh. Hold that contraction for 3 seconds. Then lower the leg slowly back down over 4 seconds. Switch legs and repeat. That slow lowering phase is critical. It's where strength is built most efficiently, especially in aging muscles. Rushing through the movement reduces the benefit. Start with 10 to 12 repetitions per leg and complete 2 to 3 sets, resting briefly between sets. As the exercise becomes easier, light ankle weights or resistance bands can be added to increase challenge safely. Strong quadriceps don't just make standing easier. They protect the knees by absorbing force before it reaches the joint. They improve balance by allowing controlled movements. And they restore confidence, the kind that makes people stop fearing low chairs and narrow stairs. This single movement trains the body to rise again, both literally and functionally. In the next part, we reveal the hidden muscle that determines whether your foot clears the ground, or catches it. Most falls don't happen because people lose balance, they happen because the foot never lifts high enough. When people think about falling, they imagine slipping on a wet floor or losing footing on stairs. But in reality, many falls happen during ordinary walking. The toe catches the ground. The step is too short. The body doesn't have time to react. The real culprit is often a group of muscles most people have never trained on purpose: the hip flexors. Hip flexor muscles lift your thigh every time you take a step. They determine how high your foot rises off the ground and how smoothly your leg moves forward. When these muscles weaken with age, steps become shorter. Feet barely clear the floor. Walking turns into shuffling, and shuffling is dangerous. This is why so many seniors trip over objects that seem invisible. Nothing changed on the floor. What changed was the strength of the muscle lifting the leg. Walking alone does not adequately strengthen the hip flexors. The movement becomes too small, too automatic. The body learns to conserve energy, not generate power. Over time, the brain stops asking the hip flexors to lift higher because it assumes they can't. Seated hip marches retrain both the muscle and the nervous system. This exercise teaches your body to lift the leg with control again, without risk. To perform this movement, sit toward the front of a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Do not lean back. Sit tall, engage your core lightly, and keep your chest lifted. Slowly lift one knee toward your chest as high as comfortable, allowing the foot to leave the floor. Hold the top position for 2 seconds while focusing on the front of the hip. Then lower the foot back down slowly and switch legs. This is not a speed exercise. Momentum defeats the purpose. The slower and more controlled the lift, the more the hip flexor is forced to work. Aim for 20 total repetitions, alternating legs with each lift. Complete 2 to 3 sets, resting about 1 minute between sets. As strength improves, extend the hold at the top to 5 seconds or add light ankle weights for additional resistance. Strengthening the hip flexors improves more than just walking. It enhances balance, posture, and reaction time. The body becomes better at correcting itself when something goes wrong mid-step. Many rehabilitation specialists now prioritize hip flexor strength before balance training. Why? Because balance doesn't matter if the foot never clears the ground in the first place. When the hip flexors regain strength, walking becomes smoother, steps become more confident, and the fear of falling begins to fade. This exercise doesn't just reduce fall risk. It restores trust in your own movement. Next, we address a problem walking can't fix, the forward collapse of posture, and the seated exercise that pulls the body upright again. Poor posture isn't a sign of aging, it's a sign of muscles that were never trained to hold you upright. Look around any public place and you'll see it everywhere. Rounded shoulders. Forward head posture. A curved upper back that seems to pull the body downward. Most people assume this is inevitable with age. It's not. What's really happening is muscle abandonment. The muscles responsible for keeping your spine tall, your upper back, shoulder stabilizers, and deep postural muscles, are rarely challenged in daily life. Walking doesn't train them. Sitting doesn't train them. Even standing still doesn't train them. Over time, gravity wins. When these muscles weaken, posture collapses forward. This does more than change appearance. It compresses the lungs, making breathing less efficient. It shifts your center of gravity forward, increasing fall risk. It overloads the neck and shoulders, leading to chronic pain and stiffness. Seated rows directly reverse this process. This exercise strengthens the pulling muscles of the back, the ones that draw your shoulders backward and support your spine like tension cables. When these muscles regain strength, posture improves naturally. No reminders. No forcing yourself to sit up straight. The body simply holds itself better. To perform seated rows, sit tall in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Loop a resistance band around the soles of your feet and hold one end in each hand. Start with your arms extended forward and slight tension in the band. Now pull your elbows backward, keeping them close to your sides. As you pull, squeeze your shoulder blades together as if trying to hold something between them. Your hands should move toward your ribcage, not your chest. Hold this squeezed position for 2 seconds, then slowly extend your arms back to the starting position under control. Avoid jerking or snapping the band. The return phase matters just as much as the pull. Slow control builds lasting strength. Perform 12 to 15 repetitions per set and complete 2 to 3 sets. The resistance should feel manageable at first but challenging by the final few repetitions. If it feels too easy, increase the band tension. As back strength improves, something unexpected happens. Standing feels easier. Walking feels steadier. Breathing feels deeper. Even balance improves, because the body is no longer pitched forward. Strong back muscles act like the mast of a ship, keeping everything aligned despite external forces. This is why rehabilitation specialists prioritize pulling movements for older adults. You don't fix posture by reminding it. You fix posture by strengthening the muscles that create it. Next, we reveal the single movement doctors now use to predict independence, resilience, and even longevity itself. There is one movement so powerful that doctors can use it to predict how long you'll remain independent. It's not running. It's not lifting weights. It's not flexibility or balance tests. It's standing up. The simple act of rising from a seated position is one of the most demanding movements in daily life. It requires coordination, strength, balance, and confidence, all at once. And when this movement begins to fail, everything else follows. The sit-to-stand squat trains this exact pattern. Every time you stand from a chair, your body must generate force through the legs, stabilize through the core, align through the back, and control through the ankles. No other single exercise activates so many essential systems simultaneously. Researchers have found that people who struggle to rise from a seated position without using their hands are at dramatically higher risk of disability, falls, and long-term dependence. This isn't coincidence. It's cause and effect. Weak legs don't just make life harder, they make it smaller. The sit-to-stand squat rebuilds the foundation of independence by strengthening the quadriceps, glutes, calves, and core in one coordinated effort. Unlike machine exercises or isolated movements, this one transfers directly to real life because it is real life. To perform the movement correctly, sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, slightly wider than hip width. Cross your arms over your chest to prevent pushing off with your hands. Lean forward slightly so your weight shifts over your feet. Now push through your heels and stand up fully, straightening your hips and knees at the same time. Pause for 1 second at the top. Then lower yourself back toward the chair slowly, over 4 full seconds, keeping control the entire way down. Lightly touch the chair and immediately rise again. The slow descent is where the real strength is built. This controlled lowering forces the muscles to resist gravity, which is especially effective for improving strength and bone stimulation in aging bodies. Start with 8 to 10 repetitions and perform 2 to 3 sets, resting as needed. As strength improves, you can increase repetitions, slow the descent further, or hold a light object against your chest for added resistance. What makes this exercise special isn't just the muscles it builds, it's the confidence it restores. When standing up becomes easy again, fear recedes. Movement feels safer. Life opens back up. This is why many clinicians now treat the sit-to-stand squat not as exercise, but as preparation for living. In the next part, we'll explain why this entire system works so well, and why aging muscles respond faster than you've been led to believe. Aging muscles don't need more movement, they need clearer instructions. For years, older adults were told to stay active without being told how the body actually changes with age. The assumption was simple: move more and you'll stay strong. But movement alone is not enough. The body adapts specifically to the demands placed on it. This is where most exercise advice fails. Walking, stretching, and light activity keep joints mobile and the heart engaged, but they send weak signals to muscles. After 60, muscles don't respond to vague instructions. They need precision. They need resistance. And they need control. This is exactly why the chair-based system works. Each exercise targets a specific failure point that aging creates. Calf raises restore circulation and ankle stability. Knee extensions rebuild the power to rise and sit safely. Hip marches retrain leg lift and fall prevention. Seated rows correct posture and balance alignment. Sit-to-stand squats integrate everything into real-world strength. Together, these movements create a complete signal to the body: this strength still matters. Another reason this system succeeds is safety. Fear stops more seniors from exercising than pain ever does. Chairs remove fear. Sitting reduces joint stress, eliminates fall risk during training, and allows full focus on muscle engagement. When fear disappears, consistency improves, and consistency is where results come from. There's also the matter of recovery. Aging muscles recover better from short, controlled resistance than from long, repetitive activity. These exercises stimulate growth without exhausting the nervous system. That's why strength often returns faster than expected. Perhaps most importantly, this system trains movements the body actually uses. There's no wasted effort. No abstract exercises. Every repetition translates directly into daily life. This is why rehabilitation professionals increasingly prioritize resistance before endurance. Strength restores confidence. Confidence restores movement. Movement restores independence. You don't need perfect form. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need an hour a day. You need intention, patience, and a few minutes of focused effort. And when the body finally receives the right message, it responds, no matter the age. In the final part, we'll bring everything together into a simple, realistic plan, and explain why starting small is the fastest way to get strong again. The body changes faster than you think, when you finally train it the right way. Most people believe strength loss is permanent. That once it's gone, it's gone. But that belief is outdated. Aging muscles are not broken. They are underused. When given clear resistance signals, muscles respond at any age. Not instantly, but steadily. And often, surprisingly fast. This entire system can be done in 15 minutes, 3 times a week. A chair. A resistance band. Your body weight. That's it. No gym membership. No floor work. No intimidation. The key is progression, not perfection. Start with one exercise. Master it. Let your body adapt. Then add the next. Each movement builds on the last, creating momentum instead of overwhelm. As weeks pass, you'll notice subtle changes first. Standing feels lighter. Steps feel smoother. Fatigue arrives later. Confidence begins to return, not because you tried harder, but because your body is working better. That confidence changes behavior. People move more freely. They stop avoiding chairs, stairs, and public spaces. Life expands again. This is what independence looks like, not extreme fitness, but reliable strength. The truth is simple, walking alone won't protect your future. But targeted strength will. The choice isn't about exercise. It's about control. Who decides how you move next year, your body, or your habits? Start small. Stay consistent. Let strength do the rest. If you had to choose just one exercise to start today, which would it be, and why? Share your answer below.